But there's some things that big corporates do every day that I see small business owners miss out on. There's a
Interesting.
ton of government grants and programs. So if you
Right.
hire tomorrow a new student, you can essentially get their first 3 months at a 50% discount.
What do you think that most small businesses are doing wrong in their hiring?
How long a list can I give you on this one? I would say, Eric, it's there's a lot of things that small businesses either don't realize is available to them. Perhaps they limit their own expectations or ambitions when it comes. But for
Mm,
me, it often starts with overpaying for potential when you're actually doing your recruitment. So
okay.
it's very easy as a small business owner to see the glamour and glitz of somebody that's maybe worked in a larger corporation that's done this really nice job that you think can translate. But oftentimes the realities of what they need to do for you don't translate exactly to their past experiences. So we often see somebody maybe paying a premium for some potential or even overestimating the impact that person might have on their business. And then you fast forward 6 months, 9 months, you're spending a little
Hmm.
bit more money and you're comfortable with and you're not getting the result. And so oftentimes we find small businesses do that. Um, also, they small businesses tend to fall in the trap where they don't define the expectations for that person they're hiring as well. So they create a little bit more ambiguity into what success is going to look like or how
Interesting. Yeah.
they're going to measure that success. So if I'm talking to you to bring you into my business, quite often small businesses get romanced by the idea of the candidate more so than providing the romance of the job to the candidate. So they
Mm,
end up being a little subservient to them. And ultimately, the candidate expectations is they can do more. What you actually need them to do sometimes gets missed.
right.
We always see this translating as well into recruiting for what they needed in the past versus what they need in the future. I take an accounting example because
Interesting.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
space
Yeah.
you're in.
Sure.
Historically, your business, a small business, might need bookkeeping services, but as the complexity grows, the size grows, you might need a controller. But
Hmm.
you tend to still think of that person as your bookkeeper, and you tend to forget what you're going to have to offset or outsource or provide additional support for. And we do see small businesses struggle with that transition. It's like, well, I'm paying a bookkeeper X number of
Yeah.
dollars
I'm
a
used to
year.
doing
Why is
this, and then
why is my controller so expensive, and where's the added value?
Mm,
It's some of those which are just realities being a small business. You're in your own bubble, your own space, and not realizing what opportunities. But there's some things that big corporates do every day that I see small business owners miss out on. There's a
interesting.
ton of government grants and programs. So if you
Right.
hire tomorrow a new student, you can essentially get their first 3 months at a 50% discount.
Yeah. Wow.
These are Employment Ontario programs as an example. If you were to hire somebody who's new to Canada, there's offsets for their from a wage subsidy standpoint as well. There's training grants available to people. And
Hmm.
small businesses often get overlooked for these programs, but are the biggest benefactor of them if they can leverage them. And so
Right.
there's employment services groups which if you're going to be hiring somebody, you're making an investment in somebody, take advantage of some of the government money that's out there to actually kind of help you get up to speed.
Yeah.
The expectations is a big one, but it's also the fact that just because you're a small business doesn't mean that you don't have access to the best technology.
Hmm.
You and I,
Yeah.
Eric,
No.
can go on LinkedIn tomorrow and start searching in the same way that a search firm does.
Hmm.
And a lot of the time, the costs are scalable to a small business so that you can actually get onto LinkedIn Recruiter and find everybody that's open to a job right now in a matter of minutes.
Hmm. And I like what you said about, you might like the candidate a lot, and you're kind of like just see that sure their salary is higher, so you expect them to do way more, right? And that might not always be the case, especially when you were saying like, a lot of those small businesses, they may not have a full job description that actually properly details what's expected from that
Yeah.
person, especially like as they're growing, as they're trying to get even more senior, more qualified people. That's kind of the stage where they may not even have those practices or those SOPs of like actually having a detailed guideline for that senior level person. And so I guess, do you primarily work with small businesses or kind of big businesses? Is that kind of the...
Yeah, we're lucky in that we get to work with the range.
Mm-hmm.
The way we describe it is we will help any organization with a business critical hire.
Hmm.
But some of our smallest clients are a handful of people, and they're adding whether it's somebody to lead their sales group or whether we're working with a professional sports team and we're helping them kind of drive their foundation forward. We get to work across.
Mm-hmm.
But those small businesses, there is a I guess, a misnomer out there that they don't have access to the best technology.
Right.
I would say that that is no longer the case. If
Mm-hmm.
you look at the technology we use in order to map talent, map competing organizations, identify people who work there, all of those are done by free to access tools that exist. So whether these are AI tools, whether these are recruiter like tools on LinkedIn,
Right.
whether these are mining professional databases to find every CPA that qualified in the last 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
that technology is being kind of essentially democratized. And so everyone now has access to it, which
Right.
is really helping when you're looking for kind of that key person that might move your organization forward.
Okay. And I guess for a lot of like the smaller businesses, I think it doesn't come down to like, the technology used in the recruiting, but kind of like what does the small business offer that the big businesses don't, right? And I think that it can be I guess like a big hurdle for some small business owners to think like, how do I actually recruit these people that are used to all of these health benefits and retirement packages to come and work for my small business that's maybe 5 or 6 employees, right? So how do you motivate good talent to join small companies?
If you were to give me a choice of two organizations to work with, I would always pick the small company as the one to market because I think it's easier than marketing a large corporation. And I'll explain why.
Interesting.
If I'm
Wow.
a large corp, you can go and find out everything about my business online and build your own opinion without ever having spoke to me. You can look at my Glassdoor reviews, my Google reviews. You can read what somebody's getting paid in each and every job. So there's no secrets in
Mm-hmm.
a large corporation. So the narrative has already been created.
Hmm.
So large corps have to deal with that pre-existing opinion of them in the market. Small
Right.
private company, anything you tell me, Eric, about your business is the narrative we are creating for that role. So you get to control that.
Right. You kind of have
And
that
as
blank
long as
slate. Yeah.
exactly. And so, if I'm recruiting for a small company, I know that they're going to have more impact. I'm going to be able to
Mm.
talk a little bit more about the work they do and how that changes or influences people around them, what their actual outcomes are. It's for me that influence, the dream, the journey. I'm yet to meet somebody who doesn't want their work to be meaningful. And
Right.
so in a small business, I think you can connect meaning to the task a lot easier than you can in a large corporation,
Yeah.
and you don't have pre-existing narrative to deal with.